Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the AG version of the Adidas Predator Instinct in the brand new black, white, and solar red colorway. Now, something that's interesting about the latest Adidas colorways is that the top-end models are all coming with string bags. So everything that was released alongside or after the new 11 Pro 3, a top-end model will include a string bag. So the string bag you get is black in color. It features black strings as well. It's got this zigzag pattern on the front that kind of matches what you're going to find on the shoes. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. You have your Predator branding in white on the front, your Adidas branding in white on the back, and then this little kind of pocket inside with an open mesh that you could kind of put extra insoles or maybe even your phone or something like that. So a nice little extra that Adidas is now including, like I said, with all of their latest top-end colorway releases. And other than that, all you're going to find inside the box are the shoes themselves. So we'll get these out of the box really quickly and take a closer look at the AG version of the Adidas Predator Instinct, a version of the Pred that I have not featured on the channel thus far. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a detailed look at the AG soleplate and stud pattern featured on this shoe, talk briefly about the overall performance of the Predator Instinct because it has been covered multiple times on the channel, and of course take a closer look at this colorway. So if any of that interests you, please stick around, and with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's talk about the colorway. Now right off the bat, I will say that this is my personal favorite colorway of the Predator Instinct that we've seen so far. I just really like the classic black, red, and white color scheme. It's something that's always been a Predator colorway, and it just looks really, really good on the Predator Instinct in this particular variation. The only downside is that this color scheme will not release in North America, either in-store or online. It's a European exclusive, so if you guys are interested in this particular shoe, either the AG soft ground or firm ground variation, check out the review page on my website. There'll be a direct link to that down below in the description of this video, and on that page you'll find buy it now links for, like I said, all three versions of the Predator Instinct. It's from a UK-based retailer, the same place where I got mine from, so it's a very reputable source, of course, and their actual shipping rates to North America are very, very reasonable. So even if you are in North America and you still really want this colorway, they are attainable by checking out, again, the links on the review page of my website, linked down below in the description of this video. So be sure to go ahead and check it out. Now, the black, red, and white is not an unfamiliar color scheme with the Predator Instinct. We got this one a couple of months ago. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with it and have seen it. It's been very popular amongst professional players. It features a black base with that red battle pack pattern over top. And this new color scheme, as you can see, does not feature the battle pack pattern at all. So this is the first Predator not to feature that pattern on the upper. Instead, you have this new pattern that kind of flows with the actual Predator lethal zones. As you guys can see, it's a clear coat on top of the matte finish of the black upper, which I think looks really, really good. Has different branding there on the tongue, as you guys can see. And of course, the lethal zones themselves are that solar red color, solid solar red, as opposed to being translucent, which really shows off the design of the Predator Instinct, in my opinion, against that black background. It really, really pops, which I'm personally a big fan of. You have your white Adidas branding in the form of the three stripes on both the lateral and medial side of the shoe. Your Predator branding in white right there on the back as well, and then one more Adidas logo in right there on the tongue. You can see that the heel lining is all solar red as well, even the insole, which does have the Champions League branding, as you guys can see. And then moving on to the sole plate and stud pattern, this is the AG variation. So the sole plate and studs themselves are predominantly black, as you guys can see, but if you do go for the firm ground or soft ground variations of the shoe, it actually will have a red rim around the edge, similar to this colorway right here, which in my opinion does look a little bit better, but again, it depends on which stud pattern you need and what type of playing surface you're playing on, as opposed to which version of the shoe you think looks best. So again, that's it as far as the colorway is concerned. Leave your opinions down below in the comments. Do you like this new one better or the old black and red version better? Let me know down below. I'd be curious to hear your opinions. And with that being said, let's move on to the tech specs and the overall performance of the AG Predator Instinct. As far as performance is concerned, the AG version of the Predator Instinct has all the same performance elements that you would find on the firm ground or soft ground version of the same shoe. Has the hybrid touch synthetic upper, the rubberized lethal zones, the same lacing system, the same heel liner, the same insole, the exact same fit. The only difference here is going to be the sole plate and stud pattern, which is designed specifically for use on artificial grass. And that's really why you would buy something like this, is if you frequently play on artificial grass playing surfaces. AG playing surfaces are very, very hard on your shoes. And what's very common nowadays is to see people using firm ground shoes on artificial grass. A lot of people will continue to do it no matter what I say, but it is something that I very strongly recommend against doing, not only because it's bad for the shoes in terms of durability, it's a plain surface that a firm ground shoe is not designed to be used on, but it's also very, very unsafe, and I'll explain why in just a second. And you're just not going to get the right performance out of the shoe. I'm not going to say that an AG stud pattern will perform better on artificial grass than a firm ground stud pattern will, but it'll feel more natural. The best way that I can describe it is it'll have the sensation of wearing firm ground shoes on natural grass, but with AG shoes on artificial grass, if that makes any sense. So as far as this sole plate and stud pattern is concerned, this is the same generic AG sole plate stud pattern combo that we've seen on several AG models from Adidas over the last 2 or 3 years now. They really haven't changed it up, and it doesn't vary from model to model like you're going to find with Nike, even though it really doesn't make too big of a difference. Even with the Nike varied AG stud patterns, they all feel very, very similar. So you can see it does have a thicker plastic sole plate that technically is not a control frame like you're going to find on the firm ground variation that I have right here. But like I said, the actual stiffness and flexibility of the actual sole plate just feels very, very similar to me, so no major complaints there. It doesn't have that same kind of texturing around the outside lip of the shoe. It has a little bit of it right here, but again, no big deal. And of course, you're going to notice that the lip actually does come up significantly higher at the front of the shoe in the forefoot area, again, for the sake of durability, because AG playing surfaces are very, very abrasive and just much harder on your shoes as far as durability is concerned. So with the stud pattern, again, you can see the layout is significantly different than what you're going to find from the firm ground version of the Predator Instinct. There are a lot more studs, and the studs that are actually there are significantly shorter, as you guys can see, and that is by design. Artificial grass playing surfaces are very shallow, so you don't need extra long studs to dig in. And in fact, if the studs are a little bit too long, for example, if you're wearing firm ground or even soft ground shoes on artificial grass, the studs will dig in, but they can't dig in deep enough, which leads to instability issues, as well as that very clingy sensation where once you're planted, your foot can't actually slide, which may seem like a good thing, but actually is very, very dangerous, because if you get bumped or perhaps even go into slide and your foot sticks, it's very, very bad for your joints. You can have serious ankle and knee injuries caused by wearing a firm ground stud pattern or a soft ground stud pattern on artificial grass. And I'm not going to say that that's not possible while wearing an AG stud pattern on artificial grass. It's just much more unlikely, because you're not going to get that clingy sensation, which again brings me back to the sensation of wearing firm ground shoes on natural grass, but with AG shoes on artificial grass. To me, that is the biggest difference, and the main reason why you should go about using an AG stud pattern on artificial grass instead of a firm ground stud pattern. Now, the studs themselves are a lot more significant. There's a lot more of them on the base of the sole, and that is again down to stability. Because the studs aren't as long, you just want more studs under your feet to have as much grip as possible without having that clingy sensation. So there's no major cling point on the bottom of the shoe, just because the pressure and grip is evenly distributed across the entire bottom of the foot. So that's really the main reasons why you would want to buy an AG stud pattern for use on artificial grass. It's going to be better durability, it's going to be safer, and it's just going to have a more natural performance feel as far as traction is concerned, as opposed to just being very, very clingy. It's going to allow you to twist and pivot, and like I said, it just feels a lot more normal instead of having that super clingy, almost unsafe sensation that you get from a lot of firm ground stud patterns on artificial grass. So as far as the upper is concerned, like I said, you have that hybrid touch synthetic with the rubberized lethal zones, and basically all this shoe is about is providing a lot of additional grip on the ball, and that's really what you get with the Predator Instinct, more so than any other shoe out there on the market. It does take some getting used to, and it's not for everybody because of this particular performance aspect, but for me personally, once you get used to them, I really like having all that extra grip. It's a unique performance sensation that gives you that sensation of control. It's not necessarily going to improve your control, but it definitely does have that really interesting feel that I just enjoy using. And once you get used to this shoe and you go back to another shoe that doesn't have all this grip, I find that you actually do miss it. So again, if you're interested in trying out something that with a ton of extra grip on the ball, the Predator Instinct is definitely the way to go. You do have the gel pass pad right here, which does add a little bit of extra cushion in this area of the foot. It's not super noticeable, honestly, but it is a nice little element that they have included on the shoe. The lacing system, as you guys can see, is off center, giving you kind of just a larger striking element overall. The actual heel counter is internal and made from plastic, so you do get a decent amount of rigidity back here as well as protection, so stability is not an issue at all. Your heel's not going to move around on you. You do have a heel liner that the top part is made from a nice synthetic suede material, and then the bottom part, you can see there's a slight color difference, is actually the reverse side of Velcro or some type of material along those lines that actually grips your sock really, really well. Normally you'd find that reverse Velcro material on the inside of the heel as well as the underside of the tongue, but it's not on the underside of the tongue with this particular colorway. So that is a change that Adidas seems to have made here. No big deal. The tongue still moved around even with that Velcro material there, so I'm not really complaining in any way. But again, having that reverse Velcro material at the base of the heel really does a good job of locking your heel in place. So if that is something that you struggle with, the LZ2 again may be something to consider because it locks your heel down extremely well. The insole is fully removable. It features a mesh liner on top, and it's just made from a single layer of this foam material. So nothing too fancy, but it definitely does get the job done. And that's pretty much it as far as the performance of the Predator Instinct is concerned. Again, if you're playing frequently on artificial grass, I would strongly recommend going for an AG stud pattern no matter what shoe it is. But with the actual Predator Instinct, I think the AG package as a whole is just really, really good. You're going to get, like I said, more natural performance, a safer feel, as well as better durability from an AG stud pattern on artificial grass than you will from a firm ground stud pattern on artificial grass. So that's pretty much it as far as performance is concerned. And next we'll move on to a quick weigh-in so you can see how lightweight these guys are. In terms of weight, the Predator Instinct isn't known for being super light, but normally when you go from a firm ground shoe to an AG shoe, the AG version, especially if it's the same model, tends to weigh a little bit more. But in the case of the Predator Instinct, the actual weight difference between the two variations is somewhat surprising. So I'm going to weigh both versions of the shoe for you today in real time. The firm ground shoe is right here. The AG model is right here. Both of these are in brand new condition and both the same size 9 US. We'll start off with the firm ground variation, throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 9.8 ounces, which is not heavy, not light either. It's a shoe that has a nice, comfortable, solid feel on feet. That's really the best way to describe it. So we'll pull that off the scale, and we'll throw on the AG variation, as you guys can see. And you can see that these guys weigh in at 9.3 ounces. So they're about half an ounce lighter than the firm ground variation, which is not the norm when comparing firm ground and AG shoes, but certainly not something that I'm complaining about. Even if you were planning on getting a pair of Predator Instincts and you need a pair specifically for artificial grass, I think having half an ounce less weight on the shoe will be viewed mainly by a lot of people as a positive as opposed to a negative. So if you were interested in the AG version of the Predator Instinct, just know that they weigh a little bit less than the firm ground model. Not to the point where they're going to feel lighter on feet, but they are a little bit lighter nonetheless. Alright, so here's a look at the AG Predator Instincts on feet. And from right out of the box, these shoes are very, very comfortable. I'm a big fan of how the Predator Instinct fits and feels. The Hybrid Touch synthetic base is thin, it's soft, it's flexible, it feels fantastic from right out of the box, and really requires minimal break-in time. They've positioned all the rubberized lethal zones in such a way that doesn't really restrict the flexibility and just natural feel of the shoe when they're on your feet. And like I said, they just fit extremely well from right out of the box. As far as width is concerned, it is a tighter fitting shoe to a certain extent, but you will get some stretch out of the Hybrid Touch synthetic, mainly right here in the forefoot area where you don't have any rubberized lethal zones, but all the areas where the lethal zones run from the lacing system directly into the base of the sole plate, you're really not going to get much stretch in those areas of the shoe. With that said though, as long as you don't have really, really wide feet or where you tend to struggle with the width of your shoes, the Predator Instinct is just one of those shoes that should fit just about everybody. Like I said, it will fit most people. I really like the reverse Velcro in the heel as well. It really does help to lock your heel in place once you pull the laces tight. As far as the sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these, they do run true to size, and I would strongly recommend going for your normal size in order to achieve the best possible fit. Alright guys, that's it for my review of the AG Predator Instinct. If you're spending any significant amount of time, maybe even all your playing time on artificial grass playing surfaces, then an AG shoe is definitely worth looking into. You're going to get better durability, a safer playing experience, and the actual traction that it will provide will feel much more natural as opposed to feeling very clingy, which you'll get from using firm ground shoes on artificial grass playing surfaces. As far as the Predator Instinct itself is concerned, it's honestly one of my personal favorite shoes of 2014. It's one of those shoes that I like to come back to and wear when I'm not testing other things out, and I just really like the sensation of having all that extra grip on the ball. If it's something that you think would be interesting for you to try out, then you're probably going to fall in love with the Predator Instinct. An absolutely fantastic shoe when it comes to overall performance. Again, if you guys are interested in this particular colorway, which is only going to be available in Europe, check out the review page on my website. There'll be a link to that down below in the description of this video. Also on that review page, you'll find the high quality images as well as the full written review if you want more details on the overall performance. Speaking of more details, if you want to see some of my videos that I have on the channel of the Predator Instinct, such as my playtest, as well as comparisons I have with this particular shoe, I'll leave annotations on screen. You can go ahead and check those out if you're interested in more info. If you have any questions, suggestions, or just any comments in general, leave those down below in the comment section. I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. That would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.